Hello and welcome to Reactive Terrain. It is very early on Sunday morning and I've managed to grab a couple of hours down here before me and the family head off for our day trip. But I thought I'd do a quick update and actually answer a few questions that we've been getting on the course. So G-Dog is off gallivanting again. He has gone to the seaside, but this time he didn't take no rigs. Thank God.
Hello and welcome to Reactive Terrain with G-Dog on the beach. Now I know what you're all thinking, G-Dog's gone to the beach, he must have brought his trucks. No, I didn't. I learnt my lesson from the last time. But I'm here trying to collect driftwood, sea kelp, all for the new course. It is raining a little bit. I'm just having a walk along the beach just to see if I can find any bits. And this is what I'm looking for. A little bit of sea kelp, which this makes brilliant bushes when it's dry. Spray it green, paint it, do whatever you want with it. Just wondering how I'm going to get that bit of driftwood in the car.
In fact, he did instruct me though, strict instructions, that I shouldn't be coming down here and doing anything because I told him that I wasn't going to be. So, sorry, I managed to grab a few hours. So I had a couple of questions about what type of Celotex or Kingspan, which is what we call it over here, we've been using to do all the carves and everything like that. Now, we'll add in the description a bit more detail about the stuff I'm using. But let me just show you what it is again. Kingspan and Celotex. So over here we use this stuff. This is really thick stuff, by the way. This is 120 mil, 5 inches, something like that. We use it to put in roofs, in the walls, under the floor, anything really to do with house insulation. This is the puppy. This is what we use over here. And this comes in loads of different thicknesses. We were very fortunate. This is actually discontinued non-regulation stuff, which is why we ended up with a little bit of a bundle of it, because it was no good fit for purpose anymore. So instead of it being skipped, we ended with it. So it's a very fortunate event, which is why we had to kind of change the way we build our terrains to account for this stuff. And this comes in 8x4 sheets. So that's 4 foot by 8 foot, or 242 centimeters by, yeah, that much. I should know all that, shouldn't I, really? And it actually, I mean, you could carve this in so much detail. So much detail. I mean, this is just me ripping chunks off of it. But you could take the time and really set into town and carving it really well. But then you got to cover it. Now, let me show you. So why G-Dog's been gallivanting to the seaside again? Adam's been a little bit busy. I thought I'd tackle the new Miner's Mound, which, if I give you some idea of how big, Miner's Mound is basically from this corner kind of right round to this corner. This is 5 times bigger than our original Miner's Mound. So gives you an idea of the type of scale we're working with. Now, this has been done in the same technique we've been showing you with the dust sheets. And you just got to work it. You really got to work it to get rid of all the creases. You're always going to get a few creases. If you look down here, I've got a load of creases where I've kind of had to tuck it all in because there was a big pile. The reason why I had to tuck it in is because there is now a tunnel. Obviously, it won't be all squared up like that. It's just where I've cut into it. Which goes all the way around the front edge of the mound, or the mountain, not the mound, and pops out there somewhere. It's not too tricky to get through. It's about 3 foot long. It just adds another little dynamic to the mountain, breaks it up a little bit, gives us a couple more lines, some more roots, a bit more fun for the record games. Okay, so as you can see up here, where I've kind of draped the dust sheet, you can start seeing these cloth lines. Now, personally, it doesn't make any difference to me up there. It actually looks like cliff fascias, which is absolutely fine. there's a little bit down here, which I just couldn't get rid of, no matter how much I tried to smooth it off. Now, it has gone rock hard now. I could mix up more cement and paste it all in there to get rid of it. But I think all I'm going to end up doing is just putting some natural bushes, stonage, and dress it all up. Because remember, this is just our base coat. We've got to glue all the stones down, put all the loose rocks down, you know, all that type of goodies to make it a lot more scaled. If you were going to take the time and carve this kingspan, doing it this way, you lose all your detail. Okay, this is quite, you know, makes for quite soft and bulky areas. You can tuck it in like I've done over here, where I've kind of got in there where it's wet and kind of scrunched it all up and pulled up all these chunks to kind of give it all these lumps and bumps and rocks. But if you're going to try and gain high detail, you're going to have to take the time. And I did do a little bit of a test. You can just see here where the cloth finishes, and I just pasted the cement over the first little kind of bit, and it does go off. But when I say it's going to take you a long time, it's going to take you an awful long time to hand paint all of this. However, it's something I probably will end up doing because I don't want to lose too much detail of this area. So hand painting it, what does that involve? Well, there's a couple of things you're going to need to do. Number one, your first coat is barely going to touch it. You're going to need it quite watery. You're going to want to just get it anywhere you can, really. It's not going to stick in all the places. And once you've done that, you need to let it dry, because that's going to add a kind of binding surface for the second layer. And the second layer, you're going to want to just make a little bit thicker. If you have a look at my previous build videos, it's basically the same technique as what we did with the polystyrene. It just might take you a few more layers to get the same effect. You can't achieve a good top coat as quick with this Celotex as you can with polystyrene. It is going to take a few more layers. So if you are going to do it, obviously, you know, this is a huge scale, you know, probably not doing this type of scale at home, but it's still going to take you a bit of time. But it is possible. So if you do take the time and really getting in there and hand carving some really cool features and stuff like that, it is doable. You can top coat it. It will go rock hard. And like everything when we use the, you know, high dense insulation or polystyrene, as long as you don't put plenty of weight on it, which you're not going to if it's just the rigs, it won't crack. Obviously, anything like this will crack or bend if you're going to put a lot of weight in a small space. You know, you're not spreading the mass, you're going to direct all your weight. It's going to crack and bend and do that. But the rigs, for what we're doing it for, you're never going to build a car strong enough, or heavy enough, should I say, to cause any damage. So I was doing a quick test, and this stuff here, I mean, I am literally pushing as hard as I can with my 2 fingers on it. It's not moving. So, and this is just with 2 coats. You know, we haven't third coated any of this, and actually some areas we really don't need to. I mean, just soaking the cloth and then doing a single paste over the top, it's gone rock hard. So this is the first section we've done. Now what I did over here is I did have a few little soft areas, nothing too drastic. I just wanted to kind of make a bit more solid on some of these edges. There wasn't many that actually were wobbly. I mean, this is just the coat and 1 single coat. Add a little bit more here just to kind of make it a little bit more terrain-like. It was a little flat for my liking as you come off the mound. Now if you have a look now, you'll see that there's lots and lots of different tones coming through. That's not dye, this is all just cement. It's just the different stages of how wet it was, how dry I made it. This is what happens. Some of it's still a little green, hasn't completely cured yet, because I did touch up and just put a little bit more on a few areas yesterday. I'm just put a little bit more on this centre embankment. Right, there you go, look, right there. Oh, where did it go? I found a bubble. There we go. Right, so just a tad of movement, you see on my finger there, and that'd just be where the cloth has, it's gone hard, but it left a bubble, or it's, you know, here we go, there's another perfect example. Okay, you can see where it's moving. And that is why we're putting multiple layers on, to just take out any of those movements. Now, that's me going around pushing it, you know, quite vigorously. A rig's not going to do that, but I just want to make sure that I've done the best I can and given it the strongest coat I can. Oh, look, you can see me skylights. Someone did comment about if you clean the skylights, you'd get like 40% light. Well, number one, they're opaque already. They're fiberglass opaque sheets. They're not clear. Number two, they're 40 plus years old fiberglass. They're going to be really, really brittle. So the algae and all the dirt that's accumulated above, it's going to stay there, because I'm not getting my big ass butt up there trying to clean them off. And I'm pretty certain the farmer doesn't want me falling through his roof either. We'll just leave it. We do have the big windows. We're going to be putting in these big 600 by 600 natural light LEDs as well. So plenty of light should be come through. If they do get to a point where, for, you know, maybe we've got a bit of scaffolding or there's a bit of machinery on site, we can get up there without having to tread on them, then yeah, even the roof panels are quite brittle. We all get brittle as we get older. Look at G-Dog. I can say those things, he's not here. Okay, so let's take a look at the process that we're using to top coat. Now, I actually have a piece here that I've cut away from the tunnel, and actually it cut very easy, because again, this is just kind of the first coat and just a little bit smeared over the top. And what you can see is, you can still see it's very flexible. Okay, number one, I've come in after doing it and it's still very green. Okay, what do I mean by green? I mean it hasn't completely cured yet. If it completely cured, I would have blunted my Stanley knife trying to cut into it. So I did need to come in and do it today. Does give you an idea of how we're doing it. Now, that has completely gone through the other side of the cotton dust sheets. So when this goes off, I mean, you can still see that that's holding its own weight on this edge here. It's a lot thinner at this end. This will, there we go, that's a great view there. Not that you could probably make it out, but you can see this kind of sandwich layer happening. You put another layer, just one more layer of cement over this, and you've got yourself a rock hard top coat for very, very little. All right, this is a classic dust sheet, painter's sheet, a builder's sheet. You can get these off Amazon. You can get them from B&Q, your local builders merchants. I mean, pretty much anywhere that sells DIY products will have these. Now, it's important not to get anything that has a plastic backing on it or plastic. These are cotton. Okay, you can see that they are a nice woven cotton sheet. This one is enormous, like stupidly big. I think this one's like 3 meters by 5 meters, something like that. It's a really big dust sheet. That dust sheet, brand new, will cost you about £20. Okay. However, if you put a shout out at your local social media to any painter or anybody like that, they've probably got sort of a bag or a box full of old dust sheets that probably not fit to go in people's homes anymore. But like builders and the rest of us, we hoard stuff that, even though it's no good. But that's good, because it means you could probably get your hand on it. Cement. That's your next thing you're going to need. Just good old-fashioned cement. No sand. No aggregate. No nothing. Just cement and water. obviously. A bag like that costs us over here anything from about 5, 6, sometimes it can go up to about £7 a bag. That's 25 kilos. So do a little bit of research, do a little bit of investigation, find it from the cheapest, best place you can find it from, save yourself some more pounds. We got £22 on the dust sheet, £5 on your bag of dust. On this section down here, which is 4 foot wide by probably about 8 foot, but you've got a lot of rise. Okay, so I used the same dust sheet I just showed you. This is what I used here. I used a bag and a half of cement, and if you weren't as fussy as me, that would do it. I mean, it's durable. It's got plenty of rigidity in it to take all your rigs. It's done. I'm gonna just probably add another coat, not everywhere, but in a few other places. So I'll probably use the other half a bag. So let's say that corner there, 2 bags of cement, 1 dust sheet, 32 pounds. 32 pounds, and you have covered an 8x4 area that has high rises on it, low rises on it. I did that by myself in less than an hour. So you can see why we've chose this route. It is super quick, super cheap, which makes me super happy. Simple as that. So here we are back at the old course. You don't really kind of understand the pure... Oh, look, there's a boat in the middle of our course. What on earth is that doing there? It was like I was on Shipwreck Island. When you come back in here, you kind of get the sheer sense of scale next door. And this looks ultra detailed because it's such a small area and we've crammed a lot into it. And that cost us a lot of space and a lot of lines that we could have used. Now, that's not going to stop us doing that in the same place, next door. But yeah, it's just crazy to see the difference when you walk back in here. Anyway, the reason why I'm back in here is I wanted to show you what on this mound, copper mound here. I used brick dye to add all the different colours. And I simply just poured it all from the top and let it run down so it looked like kind of water washing it down. White brick dust up here, greys, blacks, browns. You can see them all coming through now. And that really does give a nice texture. And as you're building your layers up, you don't have to paint it or do anything like that. The same as copper mound, although I did hit that with a matte black spray just to kind of darken it right down. And pretty much most of this area, all of this area, has been done the same. Same as down intersection here. But over here we started using some paints just to kind of define some of these areas a bit more. And it started to come up a little bit better. And the same on Lumberjack Ridge. This is all painted, not cement. This is actually wood, painted like rock. And then natural thrown in and around it to start adding the texture. Again here, this was just one colour and I actually painted in the detail. And when we built our terrain in a case, we used the same technique. We did it all one color and then we painted all the detail in. And if you haven't seen that video, then you need to go and check it out, because we built something like this and something like that you could take anywhere and it come out awesome. So painting the course is where we're going to go. We're going to hit it with the same color throughout the whole thing. We're going to black the whole terrain out. What that does is give us huge depth in the terrain, because we're now going to black out all the shadows even darker. It's going to make it look a lot more dramatic. And because when I built the first course, I never ever thought that I would create a YouTube channel. Now I've had a YouTube channel, now I've watched my videos, now I've seen my old course compared to what I can do. Now I know what it's going to take to make this pop even more for viewers to really just get immersed into my videos. And that does mean a little bit more work on my behalf, because it means that I then have to go around and individually dry brush, pick out, paint every rock, every mound there is on this terrain. But that is going to be so worth it when we get the finished result. The other reason why I'm painting it is that reason right there. That there is going to be a huge waterfall with rivers that run either side, almost 8 foot long either side. So there is going to be constant water flow, constant tires going through, in and out of the water, putting it all over your terrain. Now, when I do my top coats with painting, when I paint my actual course, I put in a little secret weapon. It's this stuff. This is a powdered wood glue. And what I do is I put this in with the paint. You normally mix it with water. I'm using water-based paint. I put this in with the paint, I mix it up, and then I use it within the paint. And what that does is create a waterproof skin over the whole area, sealing everything in, because it forms a glue, a bond. The paint is an exterior paint as well, which goes waterproof, super durable, and you're basically just doubling down on that really hard coat, so you don't get no wear at all anywhere. So there you go, tips and tricks and what we're doing, where we're at, and how we're doing it at this moment in time with the build. Now, we will recap over and over again all these techniques, and we might even do a couple of off videos of just doing the dust sheet and just doing the painting. But, you know, I like to keep that information going all the time throughout all my videos, and hopefully give you guys some really good top tips on where to get started and how to get on. So the next step for us is the water feature. And that's the pump we're using. So guys, if you're out there and you're watching these videos and this is something that you are really super interested in, then please subscribe. G-Dog? Oh, I'll do it. Hit the like button and the notification bell, and I'll see you next time.